Hello, my name is Annalisa Ard. My current job is a lecturer at the University of Phayao in Thailand. On the side, which usually means whenever I have free time, I also tutor and provide extra classes for Thai native speakers. One class of this nature is held 4 times a week at the university, which allows students the option to take extra classes focusing on the English language. In this presentation, I will be reflecting on my teaching experiences in this class in terms of the lesson plan and rationale that was posted last week. The class that I teach is called Survival English and is an optional class with no mandatory attendance or restriction on who can attend. Due to its nature, the class fluctuates in size and attendees, and sometimes has staff or other faculty members, while other times just contains university students. Most of the students who attend are English majors who wish to expand their knowledge in their field. The learning objectives for this lesson plan will be focusing on for this presentation were grammar-based and centered around the identification and differentiation of gerunds and infinitives. My personal objective for each class that I teach, be it one-on-one tutoring or one of my many university courses, is to incorporate all of the language skills into the classroom and use authentic, real-world applications to tie them together. In the design rationale that I provided last week, I highlighted the importance of using all of the language skills in tandem as opposed to being used in isolation. I also went over the significance of teaching grammar to university-level English learners and the vital pace that can make or break a lesson. I endeavor to use all 4 of the language skills together as opposed to only concentrating on 1 or 2, so that my students may be exposed to all mediums of communication and learn how they come together and create a comprehensive understanding of the language. My rationale also went into details of the value of correct pacing, not rushing learners through concepts and risking confusion, nor dwelling long enough on an activity to generate boredom from the students. Finally, in my defense of the topic in my lesson, my rationale expresses the value of teaching the deeper aspects of grammar to students who have already spent significant time studying the language, as it forms a backbone on which the learner can rely on when creating original language of their own. In my experience teaching English in Thailand, there is one sure sign of success. There is a verbal noise of understanding that Thai students make when something clicks, and as a teacher, there is no better sound than this noise of affirmation. During this lesson, that click came for different students at different times, but the most significant that I noticed was when I broke the 2 terms of gerund and infinitive into something the students were familiar with, verbs ending with ing and verbs starting with to. From there, we went through the differing levels of the nitty-gritty aspects of this grammatical piece, but from that moment on, these alien terms became something that students could associate with. Another moment of clarity came during the listening exercise, where I spoke sentences and students had to evaluate if they were correct or if they had errors. If there were errors, the students would write down the sentences and correct the errors that were made. This was successful because the students made the connection between the rules that they had been learning and the sound of the language. They were able to identify what sounded wrong and, even better, why it sounded wrong. The challenges that were faced in this lesson came largely from trying to express the rules of both gerunds and infinitives. This is where most of the students showed difficulty in conceptualizing each different occurrence, and where a lot of clarification, examples, and additional explanation was needed. What I found truly helpful during this challenge was showing the students each sentence as I was making it and underlining the different pieces, subjects, objects, gerunds, infinitives, and so on, with different colors to allow them to both see and hear the concepts that I was attempting to help them understand. The improvements that I would make for future classes in terms of lesson planning is to allow for more active aspects of the lesson. Even though 2 hours is shorter than my normal 4-hour blocks of class, learning grammar for 2 hours can be quite exhausting. In future renditions of this lesson, I would like to include more activities that have group work, pair work, and even mobility. In terms of material design, I want to echo my desires for more activities by creating flashcards or some type of quick game that allows students to stay on the topic but explore other mediums of learning that might captivate their interests more fully than sitting still. For implementation, the rule in Thailand is to be prepared for anything. Most of Thailand runs on Thai time, which means students usually won't show up until about 15 minutes after the class was supposed to have started. It also means that classes can be canceled, postponed, or have the physical location moved with absolutely no notice whatsoever. To improve this lesson in particular for that, I need to make sure the warm-up activity can be stretched to the 15-minute mark, which would allow students to trickle in, and to come prepared with handouts in case I am placed in a room without my normal resources. What I learned from this lesson is to always be prepared. When students need more time, we need to be prepared to extend activities or lessons. If students grasp something too quickly, we need to be able to move on and have additional activities planned. It also helps to have a different way of looking at things, especially with grammar rules. It was invaluable to show them with colors and break down the sentence structure using a visual representation, which was not in my original lesson plan. Being able to elongate the warm-up or cut it down should all the students arrive on time is imperative to getting off to a good start. The advice that I would give for this lesson is to know it inside and out so that you can make adjustments to it on the fly and be as adaptable to your circumstances as you can be. Finally, I would like to end by asking for your insights as to how I can improve. After the review of my lesson plan, materials, and rationale from the previous week, now coupled together with this video, I would like to elicit your thoughts on the whole as well as any additional oversights I may have made with the details. Your feedback as other teachers in the same field is supremely helpful to me, and any insights you may have for me would be extremely appreciated. The areas that I do not feel overly confident in are pacing, materials, and implementation. Usually my pacing of each activity as compared with others in the same lesson feels like it favors one area or falls short of giving another the time it needs. I also fear that my limited knowledge and access to materials might lead to using those that are not the best for the lesson or do not capture the topic as well as other materials may. Implementation in itself has many caveats, especially in Thailand, and I am constantly working to catch up with what is happening around me. If you happened to notice any other areas that were lacking or not completely fleshed out, I would be happy to hear how I can improve myself in the future. Thank you very much for your review and your time.